Okay, so episode 5 is in the books. I just finished watching it, and I gotta say, man, I'm really happy with this. You know, I think the show is really starting to pick up the pace. It's becoming more interesting. I think Joel Edgerton is also not as difficult to watch as before. He's kind of growing into the role, I think. I really like the fact that Amanda is like developing and becoming a nicer character, right? Before I thought she was becoming more like Skylar, but now she's kind of like taking the lead, you know, and starting to control herself, and you know, she's like becoming more of the main character almost. And I really love this development, you know. I'm really starting to like her. On the other hand, I think that Jennifer Connelly's role is diminishing, which is quite a shame. Really beautiful episode when it comes to Jennifer Connelly. We'll get back to that later. But overall, I think this show, you know, it's moving up. You know, it's great. So let's dig into this. I think a really nice thing is that they haven't actually figured out how to control the doors, right? It was kind of like, okay, just think happy thoughts and we go through and everything is dandy. But I'm happy that there's more to it than that, and that like the subconscious also has an influence. That's great. We can still move in many directions with the show. I was happy that they came back to Blair, right? They kind of mentioned her while they were waiting in the room. It was kind of a bit of a foreshadowing, right? So I was like, okay, we're gonna find out about her. And turns out she didn't become a witch, right? And she didn't become Captain America either. What did happen to her, we found out, you know, and what happened to her, that was really cool. I mean, that world, right? You get in there, it's kind of creepy, you know, like, okay, everything is dead, right? And you see this bed and you kind of like, oh, is it gonna be a zombie apocalypse? Is it not gonna be a zombie apocalypse? You know, and was a dead body, so something awful happened, right? And then you hear these sounds and you're like, what is that, right? You're kind of hoping that it's like some kind of monster or whatever, right? Something that is not existent in our own world. That was really cool. When it was revealed that it was insects, right? That's a good pick, right? Because, you know, I think insects, there's a lot of people, you know, who have at least a few insects that they fear. They look weird, right? Whereas animals, of course, these fierce animals, they can still look cute, right? If you think about a crocodile, you know, see how they draw it up and it kind of looks cute, right? Most of the time. Same with bears, right? They'll tear your head off, but the way they present it is cuddly, right? I mean, look at teddy bears, for example. But I haven't seen many like spider stuffed dolls or like wasps or something, right? Insects is something many people fear. You know, I'm pretty sure there's nobody out there that actually likes to have cockroaches, right? It's not like they're gonna bite you, but they're disgusting, right? And you just want them to stay as far away from you as possible. I like this turn that they took with these insects wiping out the human race. Really cool. She also mentioned some guys that I didn't catch before. 2 people that signed up for the project, right? The names were Salem and Alex, I think they were. And yeah, so this might be like a foreshadowing too, right? For additional characters coming up. Who knows? At one point they're talking about candy, right? And he goes like, oh yeah, they don't have that in my world. But then like, yeah, that's kind of like, you know, how do you know? It's not like you're the candy expert, I assume. I'm pretty sure most of us aren't like candy experts, right? Especially adults. So that was kind of like, how can you say that, right? I know there was like to make it more interesting, but I guess this had to be like a foreshadowing joke for the Mad Max joke, right? And to be fair, I like that Mad Max joke, right? Yeah, okay, that's cool. So they don't have Mad Max. I bought it, right? And then turned out to be a joke. So yeah, that was cool, right? Like I said, this show, you know, is getting pretty good. You know, I honestly think so. One thing that I kind of wonder is like, what's the point of all these doors, right? Because they go to this door and supposedly the door it adjusts to the feeling in the subconscious, right? At the moment they open the door. That's what I figure, right? So then what's the point of all these doors if all of these doors do the same thing, right? I mean, as soon as they step through, that's when they like take a snapshot of your emotional state, right? That's what I thought anyway, right? Maybe they'll explore that more, but this is what it seems like at this point. So then I'm also wondering, like, if they concentrate hard enough, if they have like enough control over their emotion and subconscious, is it like, are all these doors gonna like come down to just one door, right? Like the right door that they can go through, the only door that they'd want to go through. So I wonder if they're gonna explore this. I think, as with the concept of the multiverse, possibilities are endless, right? And with this episode 5, after this, I'm kind of like, man, I'm hoping that this is gonna continue for at least a couple of seasons, right? I mean, there's a lot of story to explore, I think, and I hope that this stays on this level and that they continue for a while. I could really use some nice sci-fi shows, you know. Okay, so moving on to the next thing. I think it was really cool that they exit the door and he's convinced he's in his own world. I was kind of like, yeah, probably not, right? It's going to be like a reveal that is not actually his world. The reveal came pretty fast, and it turned out it wasn't his actual world, but you know, the way he found out, that was pretty dramatic, right? And another fear that most of us fear is disease, right? So it was a good play there. It was like really sad to see his wife about to die, you know, she not knowing what happened to her, and her telling him that she really missed him, you know, and that his son was probably dead upstairs. That was like pretty impactful, right? That was rough. And then when he gave her the morphine, right, and kind of told like, you know, this is to end it all, you know, that was really rough, right? You know, and you were kind of like, is he gonna hug her? Is he not gonna hug her, right? If he hugs her, he's probably, you know, gonna get infected. If he doesn't hug her, you know, it's kind of a little bit of a cold thing to do, right? If it's your wife. Then this also makes me wonder, right? Because about the infection, they test them and like, oh, you're good to go. Right, but I mean, the infection, it could take place, right? It might take like, you know, 24 hours, 48 hours to establish itself, right? Some diseases take over a month, right, before they show up on any test. So I'm kind of wondering, right, are they in fact clean, or is it gonna like, you know, later gonna be revealed that they are actually sick and that they're dying? This possibility, who knows, right? Let's see. And if that happens, they might have to, you know, travel again to find a cure to get rid of that disease. The question also is, would they be able to travel through time at one point, so they'd be able to fix that world, right? Would they feel compelled to do it, or is it like, yeah, no, it's not our business? To get back to Blair real quickly, I think it was really cool to find her in that world as a survivor, and I think it was the actual Blair that left Amanda's world, right? I'm not 100% sure if I caught that, but I think it was her. That she's still there, probably the last person standing, right? That was pretty cool too. A bit of a horror element, you know. I like the horror sci-fi thing, right? So yeah, we'll see what happens there. But yeah, nice to see Blair again. And finally, what I also thought was really cool is that the second time that he thought he was in his own world, it was really like, is he there, is he not there, right? You kind of like, you know, it could be like another reveal that is not his own world, or it could actually be he is in his real world, right? And you also start to think, what happens if he travels to one of these worlds where he finds himself, you know, even if it's not his own world, what happens then, right? If there's two of him. If they touch each other, for example, like with Back to the Future, right? What happens? Does it like destroy everything, or is it gonna have some kind of other consequence? You know, maybe they merge. I don't know. You know, maybe they fall in love. Who could tell? But so it turns out he was actually again not in his own world, and he was in a world where the version of him really seemed to have hurt his own family, right? And he ended up in jail, and like, you know, that's also a fresh take, right? I didn't see that coming exactly. But as soon as he came in with the knife, you kind of like, oh yeah, this, you know, you saw the way that Jennifer Connelly's character reacted. And yeah, so bad guy in that place. Worse than the guy who invaded his original world. So to wrap things up, guys, I think, you know, the show is going up. I'm looking forward to episode 6, and I look forward to more seasons, you know. If they can continue at this pace, at this level, I'm all for it.
Subscribe quietly or there will be trouble.